My name is Cynthia Shelton. This presentation is for Walden's EDUC 8848, November 2010.